In today's business climate, managing downsizing and plant closures is becoming a common and important issue. Now, in the studio today is Professor Mike Sweeney. Now, Mike's had a lot of first-hand experience of watching, observing and noting some of the key points about managing downsizing and operations closing down. Now, Mike, let's have a look at this. What's your take on downsizing and closure?
Well, downsizing and closure are essential activities to restructuring organisations so they become more competitive. So we can expect a lot of this to continue. It's a natural progression in terms of the development of an organisation.
Now, one of the key things with your operational background is the idea of retaining corporate reputation and managing the whole operation smoothly. Can you say a bit more about that?
Yes, I mean, when a company makes an announcement to close or to downsize its operations, it has a big impact upon the local community and on the customer base and the supply base. So essentially, once an organisation decides to make such a decision, it must manage the reasons, it must inform the reasons why such a decision is necessary.
So don't just pay attention to the people side, remind yourself about the operational side, remind yourself about the necessity for keeping a reputation strong.
Absolutely, because closure or downsizing is a balancing act. We must protect the reputation and the legacy of the organisation, and we must consider the impact of the decision upon those people who are employed within the organisation.
Now, you've developed a 5-stage model, and that's number one on the list really, is make sure you understand the impact on the strategy of the business, on the reputation of the business.
Yes.
The next one, the stage 2, was managing communications. Now, yes. I can clearly see that's important.
Yes, I mean, the communications consist of two forms, external and internal. External is to inform the outside world of what decision has been made, the reasons for that decision. Internal is to inform the employees and also the supply base of the reasons why the organisation is downsizing and why that particular plant has been chosen, which many organisations are not very good at informing.
Now, in these days of Twitter and Facebook and so on, what are the implications of that in terms of communications?
Well, that technology provides an opportunity. You can either use it to better inform everybody inside the organisation about the decision and the reasons why the plant has been chosen for downsizing or closure, or you can ignore that and it will be exploited by others, those people affected, and will be used for propagation of rumour and all sorts of negative reasons.
And you've actually seen that happen, haven't you?
I have, and it's currently just coming. The organisation where this has taken place is just beginning to recover from the consequences of that.
So make sure you take advantage of the means of communication.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise other people will.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the next one, which I guess is more predictable, you've got to manage the actual closure well. What does that entail?
It's essentially a project management activity. It's very much operations. It's setting the vision for the closure, the timing, the rundown of operations, the reduction of employees and informing employees of their role in the future. So it's creating a clear vision for everybody about the rundown or the closure process.
Now, if we look at the people side of this, there's a stage that you've clearly identified that says manage investment in employees. Can you say a bit more about that?
Yes, I mean, this is where the cost of closure or downsizing will have the greatest impact. If you don't manage the employees properly, it will be a more costly process. Essentially, it's about counselling them about what is happening and making sure that one understands the emotional changes that people go through on hearing such an announcement like a closure or downsizing or redundancy.
Now, some people would say, that's all very well, but you've got a business to run here, we haven't got time to do that kind of thing.
Well, if you don't handle this properly, the continuity of the business will be very stalled, really stalled. And so attention to these sorts of details and understanding, and in particular counselling and training people for displacement and determining the appropriate separation packages is vital to the continuity of operations.
Now, you observed this at close hand at Luton when they closed the Vauxhall plant, didn't you?
I did.
And one of the key things from an operational perspective is about managing continuity. Can you say a bit more about that?
Well, the continuity there was that they wished to continue to produce for another 15 months, and so they had to retain some people in a reduced operation while at the same time managing the transfer of others to another plant. So it was a very complex process. The needs of those two people are different. The people that are retaining, you've got to develop their skills so they can take on greater number of roles. The people who are transferring, you've got to get them to settle in the new sister plant. So those are two different people management activities, both vital to the survival and the performance of the business. And at the same time, of course, you still have to manage the performance of the company.
So if we were to sum up then about the dilemmas, the difficulties, the opportunities, how would you describe closure and downsizing?
A balancing act. It's managing the legacy of the organisation, its reputation and its business performance, and it's managing the people who are either retained by the organisation or will separate from them.
Mike, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.